Hello everyone. On today's video, I'm going to do something a little bit different than I normally do. So typically I do programming tutorials, and specifically I've been focusing a lot on Ren'Py tutorials, but I wanted to try something different this time, and I'm going to show you some different resources that I use and that you can use when creating content for your visual novels. So when I was first starting out, the biggest hurdle that I had to overcome was where to get art assets. I am a terrible artist, like very, very bad. So thankfully, I was able to discover Daz Studio, Daz 3D, which kind of allowed me to more easily create artwork for my games. Unfortunately, that can get a little bit expensive. I have, I think by this point, thousands of dollars invested in art assets, like in models and different background locations and things like that for Daz 3D. So I wanted to show you a couple of cheap and free options that you can use in order to get your visual novels underway. So the first one that I wanted to talk about was something that I discovered pretty recently. I'm going to be working on a game soon that is going to involve an overworld map. So I was looking for a good map creating software, and I found a few different things that I'm going to go over. The first one that I'm going to show you is one called Inkarnate. And this one is made for role-playing game, map generation, things like, Dungeons and Dragons and stuff like that. Different pen and paper role-playing games. However, it can also be used to create an overworld map for your visual novel. I'm going to be doing more of a deep dive on this in the next couple of weeks. I'm going to show you actually how to create a clickable overworld map using Inkarnate. But for now, I just wanted to kind of give you a brief overview of what it can do. So you can go to Create New Map. By the way, this is at Inkarnate, INKARNATE.com. I'm going to put links to all of these in the description below, so feel free to check those out. Also, most of these things I'm going to show you are free. The ones that aren't free are very, very cheap. So this one does have a paid version. However, there is a free version that's pretty full-featured and should at least allow you to get, a pretty decent prototype. So you can choose from different types of maps. So you could do like a city. That is a battle map. You can also do like world maps. And again, some of these are marked as pro, so you actually have to pay. I don't remember off the top of my head how much the paid account is, but I think it's somewhere in the neighborhood of like $5 to $7 a month. It's pretty cheap. So for this one, I'm just going to do a world map, fantasy world free. And then you have other different styles that you can choose, different layouts. So I'm going to pick, let's do this one. And then, of course, you can get larger maps and different sizes and higher resolutions if you pay, but I'm just going to do the basic landscape 40 by 30 tiles. And it'll take a moment to create us a new map. And then, so it starts us off with just an ocean, but you can draw on it in whatever shape you want. I'm just going to make like a really quick one here. We'll give it kind of a lagoon down there. There we go. We'll give that a shot. And you can change the size of your brush. And I'm going to change that from add to subtract action, so you can use that to create ponds and lakes. And down here you can add structures. And again, if you pay for it, you get more structure options, but again, you do have some pretty basic ones available to you, but still might be able to create a pretty cool little project. And on these, you can resize them also. Oops, I accidentally made two of them. Move them around. So at any rate, really cool tool to create like a fantasy style kind of overworld map. You might be able to also create more of a modern map with it. Haven't really messed around with that aspect of it that much, but feel free to check this one out, play around with it. Again, it's free to get started, and just kind of see if it might be right for you. All right, the next one that I'm going to show you is one of my very favorite ones, and a lot of you are probably familiar with this one, but this is the Humble Bundle at humblebundle.com. Again, I'm going to link to all these in my description below. This is the one website that I check literally every single day. They generally put new bundles up around 2 o'clock, that's Eastern time, in the United States. So check it, yeah, again, around 2 o'clock Eastern time is generally when they put new things up, and this is a good spot to get video games, video game packages for pretty cheap. They have lots of great books and software. If you're unfamiliar with the idea of the Humble Bundle, basically they get permission from creators to make their content available for very, very cheap. And when you pay for it, you can choose how much of your money goes towards Humble Bundle themselves, how much of it goes to the creators, or how much of it goes to several different individual charities. So if you want, you can pick up the pack and just put all of your money towards the developer and Humble doesn't get anything. Or you can put all your money towards charity so you know it's going to a good cause and you get some really cool content for really cheap. Generally, they're available in tiers. So if you pay for like maybe a $5 tier, you might get 2 or 3 items, and then there might be like a $10 or $15 tier where you get more stuff, and then like a $25 tier where you get a whole bunch of stuff. So there are, again, lots of great video game deals on this typically, but mainly I come here for the books and software. They generally have lots of good programming books. A lot of what I have learned about Python and JavaScript programming and web design has come from books that I've bought from humblebundle.com. I also have a ton of software that I use on a pretty regular basis. Sometimes they even have downloadable classes from like Zenva or other online marketplaces where they'll actually have video classes. So I've done a lot of those as well on different programming courses. There are a couple on here right now, and unfortunately, one of these, at least, if not 2 of them, are about to end very, very soon. I'm recording this on Monday, December 19th, 2022, so I'm going to try to get this video out by tomorrow morning. But one of them in particular is the no-code game dev bundle, which as of today has 4 days left, but I'm just going to pop into that real quick and show you what's available. And this one is great. For the full bundle, it comes with 35 items, and you only have to pay the average of what everybody that has bought this has paid for it, which currently is sitting at $10.04 US dollars. So there are a few really cool things in here. There are different Foley sounds, like that is for footsteps. You have some different game assets like graphics. These are kind of old school, like 8-bit graphics. Might be suitable for your visual novel, maybe not. This one is geared towards GDevelop, which is a no-code game engine, which I've been looking into. I might do videos about that on the future. Let me know if you'd be interested in something like that. And I will see about doing that. But this one in particular also has, where can I find it? Here we go. It's got a visual novel mega bundle and then a visual novel character creator, which in my opinion is worth the $10 that it's going for right now in and of itself. So again, even though this is geared towards GDevelop, these assets can be used in any project, in any game engine that you choose. But this one includes, 2 PSD files, which are, I believe, Photoshop files, 10 expressions, 10 clothing options, 10 hair options, 130 backgrounds, most of them with day, noon, and night variations, and then 30 music tracks in different genres in MP3, OGG Vorbis, and WAV format, which I believe all 3 of those are usable formats in Ren'Py. So it'll definitely be good for a Ren'Py game. And then we have, and also these are DRM free, so you can put them on different systems if you want. If you've got more than one computer you work off of, you can transfer them back and forth and not have to re-register them. You don't have to register them at all, which is pretty cool. Then we have a visual novel character creator. And this one is kind of like the other one, but it has lets you create your own visual novel characters through different, let's see, it has body colors, body poses, hair, and expression variations. Let me see, there is a free demo with a watermark, but that doesn't apply to us. You're going to get the full version. So yeah, again, really, really cool one to check out. Let me see what else is on here real quick. There are a couple of other things, I believe. Let's see, photo editing bundle, which I do a little bit of Photoshop and Lightroom post-processing for a lot of my images, so that might be something you want to look into. This is not Photoshop, but it comes with other photo editing software. Here we go. This is a good one. I actually just purchased this one myself yesterday. This is a Music Creators Spectacular Holiday Special, which has a bunch of producer packs. So basically, these are just sound loops that you can combine to make songs. And I love stuff like this. Instead of using a predefined song because you can determine the flow of the music. So maybe you don't want the entire song, you just want a drum loop for a little while, and then at a certain point in the music you want, or at a certain point in your game, you want the piano part to come in. You can construct these different loops and put them together however you want, in order to kind of construct your own song, just like by putting these different song building blocks together. I absolutely love this one. You will need some kind of a music software in order to put these together, but again, there are some cheap and free options, and I will show you one in a moment as well that you can use. But just to give you an idea of some of these, the Candy Pop one is one of my favorites. I think I have audio turned on. We should be able to hear this if I play a little bit of it. There we go. So again, all of these songs are available in their constituent parts. So like every individual part of the drum set, the hi-hat, the bass drum, and then the vocals and the synthesizers and keyboards, piano, like everything is separate. So you can just kind of plug them in however you want in order to kind of construct your own songs, again, out of these building blocks. So really, really cool there. And while we're on the subject of music, if you need something that you can use in order to construct these songs and put all these different loops together, I actually learned about this one just recently, which I can't believe I didn't know about this before, since I am a professional musician and I am really into digital recording and electronic instruments. But you will need, in order to put these songs together, you'll need something called a DAW or a DAW. It's a digital audio workstation. Thankfully, DAWs are very, very cheap, and some of them are even free now for pretty good ones. There are a few that are really, really popular that most people use that you've probably heard of. Pro Tools is one of the big ones right now. There's also Ableton Live, Reason Studio, a couple of different other ones. And one of the big DAWs used to be Cakewalk. And Cakewalk at some point, I believe, I'm a little hazy on the history, but I believe that they went out of business or they were declaring bankruptcy, and a bunch of their developers came together and bought them and open sourced it. So now you can go to, they call it Bandlab now, or Bandlab is the name of the company that they formed. So Cakewalk by Bandlab, again, I'll link to this below. This is the same Cakewalk that used to cost hundreds of dollars. I think it was $300 or $400 when I was first getting into digital music about 10, 12 years ago. And now you can get it completely for free, and it's the same one. They regularly add features to it, and again, completely free. So definitely check that out. It's relatively simple to use. So check that out if you need something to put all of your loops together. And there is one more sound bundle right now, which I believe it just went live today or yesterday, and I haven't really checked it out very closely yet. But this one has, it looks like this one has sound effects as well as potentially some games. Ooh, it's got like voiced characters. This one's actually pretty cool. I'm going to have to come and check this one out a little bit more later. But again, feel free to come and check this out yourself and see if there's anything interesting in there that might be a good fit for any visual novels that you're working on. All right, next we are going to move on to itch.io, which is commonly known as an independent game marketplace. So this is a good place to sell your visual novel as well as to find other visual novels to play. A lesser known fact is that a lot of people use it to sell game assets. So these are all independent creators. You can get game assets on here, quite good ones sometimes, for very, very inexpensive. Excuse me. And some of them are even free. So right now I see some, like here are individual characters for about for $12 each. A little bit pricey, but not too bad. If there is no price listed on there, I believe that they are free. Let me check one out real quick. Yeah, so this one you can download now and name your own price. So you can download it for free, or you can kick the creator a few dollars, which I highly recommend. Just, $1 or $2 definitely helps. But in it, and I just put, visual novel assets into the search bar on this one. But of course you can use this to get music packs as well and other things like that. So definitely check out itch.io, one of my favorite places. All right, so the next one is kind of an emerging technology, and this is one that I am super, super excited about. I'm going to try not to beat a dead horse because I think everybody has heard about this by now, but I want to talk about ChatGPT. If you are unfamiliar with ChatGPT, it is an artificial intelligence algorithm that is optimized for chat and language models. So essentially, it's a very, very, very highly advanced chatbot. However, you can do really, really cool things with it. This is the most advanced AI chat that I'm familiar with so far, and I've been experimenting with this a whole lot. So this has been going around in the creator communities and especially in programmer communities. A lot of people are afraid that it's going to put programmers out of a job because it can actually write short computer programs. I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. We're always going to need creatives. We're always going to need software developers. But it is pretty cool for templating, for just getting down some ideas really quickly, so you don't have to do all the boilerplate code. And we'll get into all that in a moment. But for now, I want to show you, I think, kind of an unintended use for this that I think is really cool. And that is generating story ideas. So another thing that I'm bad at is, coming up with an idea for a story. I'm not nearly as bad at that as I am coming up with art assets. But coming up with story ideas is difficult. Some people are better at it and some people aren't. I think that I'm a pretty decent writer, but just setting that initial spark, that inspiration is really difficult. So one thing that I've been playing around a lot with ChatGPT is having it generate story ideas for me. Like, you can give it kind of a small spark. Just give it a starting point, and then it'll generate basically a story idea, and you can just go in and fill in the gaps, make a whole visual novel based off of it if you want. So for instance, let's try give me a story idea for a supernatural thriller in which the main protagonist is a photographer and the story takes place in Seattle, Washington. And let's see what it gives us. So while it's generating our story idea, it takes a moment or two sometimes. The way that this works is that, first of all, this is totally free to use. So all you have to do is sign up for an account. But every single chat, you get a certain number of tokens. I believe it's in the neighborhood of 2,000 something. It doesn't tell you how many tokens you have, but you can only use that number of tokens per session. So if you want to reset, you just go to new chat and it'll reset all of your tokens. So basically, every time the AI has to make a decision, it costs tokens. So if you do a really long, involved idea, it'll get to a point and then just stop when you run out of tokens. So if that ever happens, it's not broken, you just ran out of tokens if it just quits. Alright, here's an idea for a supernatural thriller set in Seattle, Washington. When a talented young photographer, Olivia, moves to Seattle to start her dream job at a prestigious magazine, she never could have imagined the horrors that awaited her. As she begins to explore the city and capture its beauty through her lens, she starts to notice strange occurrences happening around her. Objects move on their own, strange figures appear in her photos, and she begins to experience terrifying visions. As Olivia delves deeper into the mystery, she discovers that she has the ability to see and communicate with the spirits of the dead. She becomes embroiled in a centuries-old battle between good and evil, with the fate of the city and the entire world hanging in the balance. With the help of a group of supernatural allies, Olivia must use her unique abilities to uncover the truth and stop a dark force from unleashing chaos on the living. Alright, so one really cool thing about ChatGPT is that it remembers your conversation. So I can ask it to expound on this story a little bit. So this is a really cool idea, but I want to know more about the supernatural allies. Like, are they supernatural beings? Like, is she teaming up with, ghosts or vampires? Or are they regular people that are interested in the supernatural or know a lot about it? So let's see. Yeah. Tell me more about Olivia's supernatural allies. Olivia's supernatural allies include a wise old ghost who serves as her mentor and guide, a friendly werewolf who helps protect her from harm, and a sassy, powerful witch who becomes her closest confidant. Together, they form a diverse and unlikely team united in their mission to defeat the darkness threatening to overtake the city. As they work together, Olivia learns more about her own powers and the strength of her allies. She discovers that she has the ability to not only see and communicate with the spirits of the dead, but also to interact with the interact with and influence the physical world through her photography, blah, blah, blah. So now it's starting to flesh out this story a little bit, and this gives me enough of a spark, I think, to start working on a visual novel. So I really like this idea. Your mileage may vary. It should be different every time you give it, a similar prompt. So if you don't like an idea, just keep on trying until you get something that you like. I'm done with this one, so I'm going to go ahead to new chat, and let's try a different one. Let's say, give me an idea for a visual novel dating sim in which the main characters are all based on fantasy creatures. This one even gave us a title, Fantasy Matchmaker. You play as a young fairy who's just appointed as the new matchmaker for the fantasy realm. Help fantasy creatures find love and happiness by setting them up on dates and guiding them through the ups and downs of their relationships. So this is interesting. This is giving kind of a whole new take on the dating sim, because when you do a dating sim, normally you're the main character trying to romance several different other characters. But in this one, you are the matchmaker trying to get other people together, which is a really, really cool idea and something I don't think I ever would have thought of on my own. So again, a really cool way of generating ideas. I think this is going to be a powerful tool, not to create content, but to generate ideas for content, which is pretty cool. Now let's try this. This is something I was playing around with earlier as well, is getting it to actually write Ren'Py scripts. The last few videos that I did were about creating an inventory system for Ren'Py. So I'm going to say create a simple inventory system in Ren'Py. That's it. We'll just see what it does with that. Oh, actually, okay. So this one, sometimes it will tell you how to do a thing. Okay, it actually is doing that. Oh, this one's giving us step-by-step instructions. That's pretty cool. It actually didn't do this when I was testing it earlier. So that is kind of cool. But let's try this, though. I just wanted it to kind of write one for us. Can you write a simple inventory system in Ren'Py? Here we go. Yeah, now it's going to give us just the full code. But it even comments the code and everything, which is super cool. All right, so it's giving us our inventory as a list. So one of the reasons I don't think this is going to replace actual programmers anytime soon is that, first of all, whenever it's giving programming challenges, especially if they're a little bit challenging, it will give you wrong information from time to time, so it still has to be checked. Also, in order to fully understand what's going on in this, you have to know the code in order to, and what everything does in order to expand upon it. But again, really cool for just kind of popping out a really simple inventory system. So we've got our inventory as an empty list. Then we've got an add to inventory function, which appends the item to the inventory and printing it to the console. Which we wouldn't want to do. We'd want to put that in Ren'Py terms, which is not exactly what we want, but still pretty cool. And it shows us down here how to do everything. But let's do this. Can you refactor that script to use object-oriented ideas? Or I'll just say to be object-oriented. That's the way that I did mine. I made it used object orientation because I think that makes a little bit more sense for doing something like this. There we go. So now, yeah, it's giving us a class of inventory. It's got our constructor function where it creates self.items as an empty list. Then we've got our add method, a remove method. And then kind of shows us how to use it down there. So again, a very simple template for an inventory system. So that's another way that I think this is really useful. Not for doing the work for you, but just kind of doing all the boring stuff. Like it can just give you a template really, really quickly. Yeah, really, really cool. But at any rate, yeah, that's really fun to mess around with. I don't think it's going to replace creatives anytime soon, or programmers for that matter. But a really neat tool, and just kind of a fun toy to play around with. Alright, that'll about do us for today. So be sure to hit the like button if you got something out of this video. Subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the notification bell so you never miss one of my new videos. And leave me a comment below if you use any of these tools, or if you have any other tools that you'd like everybody to check out, and I will check them out myself. But with that, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.